Everyone, I think thank you for taking time out to hear us out. We're going to talk about data and its importance in the organization. We've got an esteemed set of people who are here with me in terms of discussing this. We managed to kind of talk about a few things in terms of what data can do to all of us. Let's hear from the panel without too much ado. So I have a first question to say, why should a CFO invest in data? Is it something which is worth investing? Maybe I can just ask Achal to pick it up and then give his thoughts, and maybe someone else can add on to that. Thanks.
Hello. Yeah. So CFOs should definitely invest in data. Data today is very at utmost important for taking decisions, for informed decision making, for kind of planning an organization. So couple of points which I believe are important for CFOs, why should they invest in data is, first is enhanced financial reporting and analytics, which is understanding how trend has been for the organization, how business has been growing, how revenue or the top line or bottom line has been growing or performing in the company. Second is, I would say, operational effectiveness, because with data you can take decisions which are of operational importance. You can understand what levers are there, where you should cut down on cost or where you should invest. So this is all because of data. Because I work in a startup and most of our decisions are basis emotions, sentiments and basis gut. But certainly as CFOs, your persuasion should be towards data. So because of this data and persuasive decisions, you are able to take better decisions which leads to operational effectiveness in the organization. Third is strategic planning, I would say, because with data you can not only plan for a short term but long term goals also, because this will give you insights and understanding of how market has been doing, how in peer industries have been performing, how your peer segment companies have been performing, what is the consumer behavior. So this all comes through data. Fourth, I would say market and competitive analysis, which is utmost important right now. So I take example of my organization, because I operate for 5-6 geographies. So it is just because of data we are able to take decisions to understand how consumer is behaving or our end customer is behaving. We invest in data to understand where we should invest, where we should kind of put our money, and where we need improvement. So this is just because we want to perform best in the segment and be better than our peers in the industry. So data will give us competitive edge versus our peers. So likewise, many data organizations, many organizations which provide data help us to kind of benchmark with our peers, which enable a better decision making or better results for the organization. Then I would say performance management would also be one of the importance of data, because all the key KPIs tracking, whether it's revenue, whether it's cash, whether it's cost, whether it's CM, it's just because of data. So this seriously helps take better decisions for us. And last, I would say risk and compliances, because CFO's role is not confined towards business building. While I'm saying opposite, because I have been a business partner, but certainly as a business partner I do have regulations and compliances to look for. So risk and compliances part, data only kind of help us to take better decisions, kind of take a holistic view of what all risks and compliances are, So yes, so that's all what I feel about why should a CFO invest in data.
Thanks, Achal. I think that was pretty informative. So very quickly moving forward, these questions to Onkar for you. If you can help us understand, as a CFO, as a finance professional, there's a whole data ocean out there. So what is it that we really cherry pick, why, and how do we cherry pick, and how do we kind of take that data and take it forward?
Thanks, Siddharth. So, I don't know, data we're talking the last topic, but in my view, for finance, the data is the first topic. Okay. So we start everything with the data. If you don't have anything, any finance professional, it's very difficult to take the decisions. Okay, whether it's a business decision or even cash decision or even any kind of decision, the data is quite important. And data should be relevant and in more insightful, actionable data. It's not be garbage in, garbage out kind of information. Okay. So as a CFO, you ask me if you are divide the decision what we take every day, okay, whether it's a sales, whether I'm just looking at sales and taking an example like sales, whether my material references, that's also one of the data, how you manage your strategy in the ERP, the material reference, and specifically when you are multi-geographical spread company, where you are one of the material code, whether it's a common across all the country, all the regions, all the states, okay, that's whether it's compliant to the taxation law, whether it's compliant to the the company's performance measurement, is all very key area to cover it up. So start with my organization. I give you my example. Okay, it's been considered very essential, important that if you're going in the scale and improving your the size of the organization, it's important to invest into your data governance, and that's why we set up functions like Chief Data Office. And Chief Data Office work is just to make sure it's more standardized references, each and every attributes what we deal with. Okay. We also invested in one dedicated function we call Finance Data Leader. Okay. Because finance is something is quite tricky. It's more than business where we impact adversely through the compliances. We also make wrong payment. We may do the wrong which is not compliant to the law. So that's why finance data leader is different from the general data. Okay. So there's two segregation I will say. One is overall data and the second is your finance data leader. And why this is too important? The moment the organization go in the scale, okay, and growing, day by day, year by year after, it's important to this investment that you have this data set to comply to the law, and also we can scale it through the systems connectivity. Okay. So this is very important that whatever we deal with in strategy for the long term, we make the standard set of the document. I give you one example and recent law. I think we talk about in earlier session about the MSME. Okay, can we deal the MSME 43PH law requirement without data? Because you have a vendor master data for sure, but do we have it updated in the vendor master that you tag whether it's a micro, it's a small, it's a medium enterprises? So all this information we should have handy in the system in digital way to get the information to just support business and do the compliance to the to meet the regulatory requirement.
Great. Thank you. I think maybe Manik, you just want to add some more to it with a little more to this in terms of how do you build data integrity and how do you ensure how do you build data integrity and how do you ensure the systems are followed in the companies?
Yeah. So I think most important thing about any data system is to have a right architecture around your data setup. I do believe that a finance guy is a guy who actually understands business way better than anyone else, any other peer CXO in an organization. A lot of your peer heads will talk of data which is more relevant from a specific functionality point of view. From point of view of entire organization, what's true data? Where is your, you can't have a system wherein garbage goes in and garbage gets out. So what's actually true data? What's the entry point of true data? What's your BI tools? How exactly business is being managed by not only by finance but all CXOs? What sort of exception report are being reported? to what level, to what extent data is made available and how quickly it is made available. So I think finance is the only guy who will actually understand the entire business and do this entire turnaround, because I think, so I come from real estate. We guys, maybe 10 years back, our focus around pure data, or maybe 15 years back, was hardly anything. I think BPTP in 2007-8 were the early ones to adopt SAP, but we were on SAP 0 for donkey ages, which actually wasn't able to integrate any stuff. Now we guys moved on to HANA. We probably are, as I realized, we were 152nd company globally in real estate to move on HANA. So I think clearly that the curve of movement towards strong data points have been sluggish in real estate. But good thing is that out of these 152 odd companies globally, there are probably more than 30 odd companies in India who have actually now moved to HANA. Salesforce have a strong platform from customer point of view. So again, so I think the key aspects on having a right architecture. Today, in all fairness, in case we don't do it, we guys will be left behind. There's a demand from customers who are service orientation from a real estate platform point of view has been moving up. From a pure brick and mortar company that real estate used to be some 15 years back, today customers are demanding. I don't think any real estate can effectively survive without providing a level of services element to it. So a lot of real estate organizations are trying to mature itself. We obviously are trying to catch up on that. There are 5-7 real estate who I have to say that already initiated the aspect. We guys have initiated it 2-3 years back. Today, I think our own from cost point of view, I think as a CFO, my bigger challenge is that what should be the right cost from my overall overhead point of view. Today that has crossed 20% of my overhead. That's the IT cost, but that's the right integration cost that real estate is incurring. So I think the way real estate is maturing, without having right data points, without having right applications, right softwares, and trust me, it's maturing. I think we installed one customer application by investing a reasonable amount last year, and already that particular app is outdated. We were actually not able to execute it. There are with coming up of AI, there are things that are way better in market, and when anything a large developer changes, there's a huge set of customers who are attached to it. So you simply, because of a particular cost, you just can't take irrational decision and change on a particular application for heck of it. So in case there is something new, you will have to adopt it. Now to have that level of understanding, to expect that to have it from a CTO is extremely difficult. So yeah, I think role of CFO from data point of view has been considerably increasing.
Great, Malik. So maybe I can just switch from real estate to media. So maybe Aayush, what's your take? What do you and how do you guys use data effectively?
Thanks a lot. Media has multiple usage and multiple requirements of data. One of the data is the customer data. I mean, if I'm a media company and I have a website and I have 70 million users, then I have to see, what genre of these people are consuming what kind of entertainment on my website. Then what kind of targeted advertisement can I do wherein I can earn a premium to deliver all those ads to these people who are consumers of this data, whether through the website or through the app. So that is one side of data. Second side of data is when I'm running a television news channel, how many households am I reaching? Is my reach increasing or not increasing? Some data points suggest that India has 14 crore set-top boxes. So one of our major tasks is to ensure that on all those 14 crore set-top boxes, the channel available on a free-to-air basis or not. And how do we gather that input? If it is sanguine, it's sacrosanct. Are we moving? Are we up or down? Basis that, how is the viewership coming out? There is BARC broadcast, which comes out with all these inputs to say that how much minutes or seconds your channel is being viewed. All those are again very important factors. So we may have different products here, but the importance of data is to make sure that you are taking the decision that propels your business and takes it forward. A CFO, when he is investing into data, is investing to ensure that he gets the fuel to add to the analytic fire, wherein he can actually predict the forecast in a more closer to reality kind of thing. We're obviously inspired by Nostradamus, but we are not Nostradamus. So we have to think that data as a fuel is used to culminate the essence of reaching out to delivering better services, get paid for it, and make our company profitable. That's two most important utilization of data when it comes to customer and placing our own product out there into the market. That's how we get on.
Thank you, Aayush. So I think let's quickly move to Vikas. I think Vikas is the one who's kind of been silent for some time. So let's understand, Vikas, from your side in terms of the role of tech and data, because it's kind of goes hand in hand. What's your take on it?
No, absolutely. So, obviously the guys on the dais have much more learned on the subject of finance because you guys practically handle finance from the corporate perspective on day to day. Well, I have the luxury of sitting on the opposite side, seeing, experiencing, having conversations with many people, seeing over past 2 decades, how some of the CFOs have transformed their companies using data. And when we talk about data, data is not just the quantitative number, it's qualitative data. How you capture it, how you make use of it, and how you build a strategic roadmap to it. That's very critical. Sometimes it comes to us, we look at it and we see, okay, great, I'll make that decision. But how that decision, how the data can create an impact 5 years down the line, how it can help you achieve a larger objective. And I'll before jumping on to an example, I would also talk about how CFO's roles have, gradually moved from just handling capital or debt raise plus accounting roles to the role of not just enabling, energizing, and also making it efficient finance function of the company, right? I candidly call it 3 E's, So that's how the role has evolved for a CFO, and I'll probably use an example. There is this company which is one of India's largest freight forwarding company based in Delhi. I can't name it, but I've happened to see their progress over past 1 decade. Exactly 10 years back, their CFO came from an ex-consulting, happened to be a very dear friend of mine. And that's why I could observe their growth story over past 10 years. Coming to a company which was almost a 3-decade-old company, having a lot of legacy systems, legacy ways of doing working, how the gentleman used data and technology to kind of transform and transition the entire company to that level where they are looking at raising one of the biggest IPOs in supply chain and logistics probably this year itself. The company had, first they used tech and data to transform their collections. The CFO used a lot of information which was floating around. He got this excellent product. Earlier when they used to give credit to their customers, what they would do, they would look at their individual companies and then ask bankers how this company doing, iski limit kitni chal rahi hai, kya chal raha hai, and all that kind of stuff. Gradually we started using tech, they collating data and started setting up limits for these customers. That's an excellent use of data. And today they boast of an excellent tech platform where they actually give a credit, it gets auto shut, auto bust, gets auto increase also depending on past behavior. Like Aayush was referring about how AI, so they are also on the verge of using AI to auto increase and auto decrease the limit for their customers. Similarly, I know it's a very, some people don't realize it, but CFO also plays a role in not just in their own vertical, but about HR. How they manage the incentives of sales teams. How they capture data, which particular geography, which particular teams should be more incentivized, what incentivization tool should be used to, make their team more efficient. And many more on the vendor side. Aayush talked about vendor portals, right? We don't realize, but when we use that tech, it throws in a lot of information. One, it's not just that platform to just onboard your vendor or make your life easy, but it also throws up a lot of data for you. And I know for some of the large companies use that data to consolidate their supplies and make their procurement very efficient. There is one very large appliances manufacturing company, happen to know them for again more than 1.5 decades. They excellently use that to consolidate a lot of their suppliers and ended up saving at least 3 to 4% of overall the procurement cost. That speaks a lot. So when we talk about data, remember, it's not just the qualitative or quantitative, it's both. And how you are using it, not for your decision today, but how it's going to impact your tomorrow. That's something which, as a CFO, I think we all should be, or especially my friends and colleagues here, should be focusing on.
Thank you, Vikas. So maybe I'll just put it across to Achal and Ankit, both of you. So now we talked about data, we talked about systems, but at the end of the day, you need people to run the system, right? So how do you bring the human capital in play, and how do you ensure that the human capital is completely on board to use the data the way you guys would want to have it?
Quite relevant questions. And I think we heard, I think you talk about the skill enhancement, okay, and options of changing environment. The change management is quite critical in this stage, okay. We talk about the data for sure, but how to use the data is not something we can, automatically adapt. Somebody who has to use the data, obviously you have to use the tech, and also you have to use the people to use that tech. Okay? Technology is something will help you to extract whatever relevant the way you want to extract from the system. But what relevance are there, you have to add from the human touch. That's a human brain I will talk. Okay? So as a skill enhancement, and I give you example again quoting from my company. Okay? In finance, we engage around 4 engineers who are in the finance function and dealing with the data analysis and data scientist. He is not a finance professional, he is not know about debit and credit, but he works so closely with us that we impart the knowledge with each other to leverage the best output from the technology, best output from the existing data. Okay. So this is I will say the handshake between the finance expertise who want to get into the techie side and understand more data, and then other side the engineers who actually is expert in data analysis, handshake with the finance guy. So I will talk about that people's touch, whatever we talk about technology, the mind to use this kind of the data through technology is quite relevant and it's inevitable. Human people is required and always be required, and this is the handshake with the finance and non-finance people is quite critical and important. I'll let Achal to supplement it.
Yeah. So, like I said, so for use of technology, you need to invest in right kind of people. So that's point number 1. So you have to have the people who understand that tech, understand that data, to be able to synergize both your tech part and manpower part to give desired results for an organization. And secondly, an important aspect which most of the organization miss is investing on learning and development of the folks who are in the system, who are new to the system, so that company as a whole or individual as a whole understand that system, process or tech better. It's not, and you rightly said that you have an engineer deployed in every finance department. So talking about modern age startups, in every finance team, we do have a business analyst, because my life, I spend an hour with my business analyst to make him understand the outcome, what I need from the data, because there are so many, the data is so huge in our industry. Like we have to track everything at a booking level. So in a day there are like 10,000 bookings, 20,000 bookings. You cannot simply have it on your Google sheet, Google or Excel sheet. There is specified systems where you need to run a query and then get the desired result. So business analysts are most required to pull that data and help us with desired decision making. So yes, investing in right kind of people and investing in learning and development of those people will help synergize of how to use the technology and how to get the best results from both people and in investing in the data.
I think the last question, which goes to Manik and Aayush, Manik, you may want to pick it up first, is about every organization has its organization goals, and how do we ensure that the organization goals are aligned to data, or the data systems are aligned to the organization goals? So what comes first, and how do you guys handle it?
So I think
Yeah, sorry.
So I think for any organization, what comes first is I think it's very difficult to answer. But any part of tech transformation, what's critical to manage is also change management. Because data, as a matter of fact, I think it's an entire organizational change which is required. It's a thought process that moves from both top to down and bottom to up. Now, it's very important to capture right data point and at right levels. I think it's not every data point a finance guy will be able to capture. So, obviously, it's from top point of view, it's very important to set right targets, right goals, right objectives for organization. But how to achieve it? It will have to move up. It will have to move bottom up. So again, I think from data, most important thing is the integrity level of data. So say for example, a particular customer approaching us, the first point in contact maybe my pre-sale guy, or maybe my sale guy, or maybe the guy who is actually doing site visit. Now my sales guy, if I don't train them, if they are not very well trained, if they are not integrated with overall organization objective, if they are not married to it, these guys will not feed up the basic fields that will be required from the point of movement of that data. Now entire customer life cycle starts to marry from that point. From say a marketing event, if we do with a particular channel, how exactly the lead is getting up, how exactly to what conversion rate pre-sale is able to convert it, what exactly is the need of that customer, how exactly AI we are able to use to broadly understand that what will be the queries of this customer, what's the life cycle of this customer, what kind of queries this guy will come up with. From there on to, if we have to move towards final booking closure, how exactly what was committed to customer, everything needs to be tracked. A lot of times I think there will be issues on say a broker doing mis-selling. How exactly is that being ensured through CRM? Now that will move through financial module. From financial module, how exactly data is being actually presented to customer on construction life cycle. Why do we need something like MyGate? Why can't we have our own applications? Why can't we have entire journey from the point of inception till maybe the point when customer is actually staying over there entirely mapped in from a developer point of view. So I think that's a thought process which is required, and that's just one journey on customer point of view. Again, for a particular from the point of running a particular society, how exactly what set of customers are there in this society, what exactly their expectation will be. So there's a huge learning and improvement curve that we guys clearly need to work on, and that's just one cycle of customer. I am not getting into vendor cycle, your back-end compliance cycle. So I think you need to marry both the aspects. Without that, in all fairness, without making that right culture, without pushing and both encouraging this culture, having a right CTO, setting the right benchmark, setting right organization, and setting right KRAs and KPIs to ensure that tech improvement is a very important part of KRA and KPI. In fairness, I think if you have to work in this organization, it's plain simple. Either you do it or you'll be left behind. So I think for any organization across verticals, across industries, if they can see their future for next 20 years, in fairness, it's not an option. That's a mandate which have to be followed. And it is not something that you are able to achieve today, whatever you are thinking of, and that's where you stop. You have to be on your toes on a daily basis. That's something that you really need to keep on thinking, keep on evolving, keep on looking at, keep on copying. There is no shame in copying as far as you can do it better. So I think that's the tech world that we guys right now are in. So I think that has to be embraced. That's the only way of doing business.
Complement to that, I would just simply say, data alignment to organization goal or organization goals alignment to the capturing the right data. It depends on the stage on which the business is in. I mean, if you're a startup, you're not too hungry for data. You're basically hungry for leading way forward toward delivering your product well. However, when you reach a mid-size operations and you've stabilized, that is when you start focusing more on how and why is my customer retention happening or not happening. I mean, to progress and take a leap forward to becoming a very large size company, you need to start depending on a lot of data requirements. And these things kind of go hand in hand. I can take examples from my previous companies wherein I was with Int'L, and therefore Indigo Airlines used to be the biggest investment that we had. And the on-time performance used to be the motto. It's my job too used to be the motto. Motto meaning, even if I'm a finance guy, but I'm on the tarmac, and some of the people who are passengers in an aircraft, I should make sure that they get inside and out on time, get into the bus and reach the airport, and they have a happy and safe journey. So it's the organizational goal is for making the people understand the importance of how the customer is getting satisfied by delivery of our product, nothing else. And to expand, you need data points to see which market is left uncaptured, wherein are we backing or lacking out, where the customer retention is not happening. These are the data points that you should be looking forward to see what better you can do. I mean, that's all about imagining, organizational success. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Vikas, the last question to you. It is, a lot of times we hear about the fact that, and Jain also talked about it straight from the gut. Is there something called a straight from the gut from a decision-making perspective, or is it everything is data-backed or data-based?
Actually, Achal happened to mention, and I can understand the forwarding the finance of one of the biggest success story in startup world, Oyo. So, and startups are, or any business, and especially in India, we are very sentimental and emotional. A lot of our decisions are weighed by our emotions and sentiment. It could be because of how our cultural settings have been, how our family settings have been. We've always been, if you go abroad, people tend to become independent the moment they hit 14, 15, and they start running, side hustles. They would have start jobs. I remember, I still live with my parents, happily. A lot of my decisions, a lot of my emotional dependences with my parents. So that kind of plays in Indian system that our decisioning, our way of moving forward is a lot dependent on emotions, and that sometimes we candidly call gut, right? What is gut? Which comes from within, right? So it's mix of your heart, your brain, your past experiences, how you have reacted, what worked in your favor, or what did not work in your favor. And then the second part is when you generally look at data and you decide whether data is right for you to take those calls, to take your decisions when it comes to finance as a function. I feel you cannot ignore either. It has to be a blend of your emotional, your mental background, your experience which made you reach this far, and especially if you have a sensible head over your shoulders, you have learned, right, and you have moved forward, backed by some qualitative, quantitative data, and that too integrated by a lot of technologies behind it which are proven and tested, And I'll take an example of Aayush when he said he deployed RPAs, of bots, and that bots, instead of achieving the objective, it became counterproductive, right? Now one thing is very clear, you say, oh, the data of the industry suggests that RPAs work, right? And I can understand, hats off to him if he's taken that call of removing it and going back to the manual processing, because I'd worked with a tech company and used to deploy RPAs, especially in finance and account automation. So I was part of this company, I was heading the sales in this company which was into automation. They used to deploy IDPs and RPAs and all. It takes a lot of courage to admit and move on. The gut and the market data suggested that he should take that call, but when he experienced and coupled with his gut feeling, he took a call, I don't want to do it. Let me put it stop. It's okay, let me face the challenges afterward. Let me answer to my stakeholders why did I take that call up, right? So, to answer that, it has to be a right blend, a right approach in the right direction where you let your gut also give you experience and data to supplement your decision making.
Thank you, Vikas. I think that comes to the end of this session. So I think as we talked about, I think to sum it up, it's all about the fact that data helps us to vision. It helps us to set up a purpose. It helps us to find and get the direction in place. I think that's what we've really been talking about. How do we set that direction and how do we ensure that we're able to follow that path and measure the same. So that's the essence of data. So I give it on to the members here in case anyone would want to ask a question. Please feel free. We can just take maybe 2-3 minutes and we can then wrap it up.
What about learning or learning and relearning? So how does your organization, and this dais is actually very, we have hospitality industry sitting over there, we have media, we have real estate. So how does your organization is training CXOs for AI age? If anyone can answer. Yeah, so we are going through the AI age.
We are old, buddy. I think so. I would tend to believe that that's what probably all of us will answer. But there is no shortcut on training. Look, I think we guys need to learn. That's the reason I always believe that finance plays a very important role when it comes to entire training of an organization. There will be CXOs in any organization who will probably understand tech slightly better, and there will be CXOs who will not. So both finance and HR, the role becomes very important. It's again one of the key criteria today for anyone to be a CXO. We have to give them opportunity. We have to give them chance to adopt to it, to understand it, to train it. And in fairness, I think if they are not up to it, unfortunately, they will have to be replaced. So that's a very hard fact. And as far as organizational objectives are very clearly laid down, your KRA KPIs are very clearly stated. It's not a choice. Look, CXOs plays a very important role. Now, if any CXO, any function, say I spoke about my customer journey earlier. If my production guy, if my architect head, if my sales head, if my construction head is really not in line with production methodologies, I think there is a lot of errors that has happened over the last 15 years by any real estate company. And there is no exception. I think exception in construction methodologies actually is zilch. Everyone has erred by doing any basic construction. Now today probably for any construction to happen, there are new BIM models, there are GFCs, there are proper BOQs that are prepared, which is all tech based. Now if I'm constructing a building, now do I need to rely on pure architects, maybe best architects in world, to state that it's structurally strong, or do I need to use a particular model, a BIM model, to ensure that any strength test, any future prospect on a particular building, will it be able to bear it? What exactly quantities will be used? Do I rely on my own staff, who probably is a very well trained staff, or rely on an AI tech which will guide me that what exactly material will be used for me to better underwrite my construction cost. Now, so look, from finance point of view, we guys are completely dependent. There is a level of dependence, and if to the extent there is a human involvement, there is error. Errors are bound to happen, particularly in a company which is not labor intrinsic. Workmanship, there will be errors. So how exactly will you make sure through tech that those errors are minimized? Either you can continue to do a particular construction wherein customers will be satisfied, or will be satisfied to the extent of as good your production manager is, or you start relying on an AI tool, on proper softwares that are available today. How do you monitor your construction? How do you monitor timelines? There are a lot of obligations that come on a particular developer through RERA. I think legal framework has really matured. So look, this is something that has to be accepted. You either accept it or you simply can't be a CXO. That's a simple answer.
But I need to understand what AI can do to the organization, and should I be in a position to accept it. One of the fundamentals which, while AI is still coming on board, but all of us have seen the powers of e-commerce which has come in place. I'm not trained on e-commerce, but I need to understand that e-commerce can really grow my sales. I need to get the right talent, which is typically a 10 or 15-year younger person on board who understands e-commerce much better, and I should be able to use his or her skill set to take it forward. I can't learn e-commerce, but I can support e-commerce, I can ask the right set of questions, I can take the e-commerce journey forward. That's how I take it. That's the way I would. So my take is embrace that change, accept it, and ride on it.
Just adding 2 more lines to say. It's the same line story that I was anecdotally referring to in the beginning of my talk, that it is to maintain power, order, and balance. Now, a habit that one of my CEOs in one of the businesses that I worked in had was every Monday morning there used to be a 9 to 10 session to discuss not what the business is doing and how it is running. Discuss what did we all, management committee, do over the weekend, what's new that is happening, who is planning their holidays where, and if there is anything with regards to business that needs my urgent attention. That's about it. And that's where he would share his set of own knowledge gathered over the weekend with the teams. And I think that was one of the best ways of engagement that I've seen a leader demonstrate on how getting your CXOs on board with the latest in trend and behaving like, I'm not a know-it-all. I am sitting here with you and I'm sharing with you what I have learned. These are, behavioral things. As I said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's like how you build the culture of an organization by being along with people. These CEOs hang out in office. They're again like lions. They're not going out hunting. Yeah, they have a pride which is hunting. They are the ones who engage with everybody on the floor, have a conversation, understand. Okay, now this guy is adapted to change. They would recognize people who are adapting to change, and they would encourage others to adapt to the same as well. And it goes from top to bottom. That's very human answer to this.
I just want to add a line to what you said. CXO's core role is influence. Data, AI and this data related things is good to have, but most important skill set I believe is influence. If they are able to influence an organization, this is a secondary to what the core goal of an organization is.
I hope it is satisfying.
Thank you. I think that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you all. Thank you.